Hello, y'all. Hello, hello. Howdy doody, folks. I gotta put the beef jerky away. I've already have. My mouth is on fire, guys. What's the drink? I'm a sleep gifter. Shout out to Jody for gifting me $20 in her sleep. What a gym. I am having. This is called a no-hito. It's just sparkling water with lime and mint. I'm kind of sick right now, guys. Delicious. Hello.
What's going on, Pickles?
What's going on, bro?
Um,
How we doing today?
Wanted to ask what?
How we doing today?
I'm good. How are you? You seem a little congested.
Yeah, I'm a little sick.
So I wanted to ask a question. I obviously it's about I watched Dan's live a couple nights ago, so I understand if you don't want to talk about that, but I just had like one question um about something Dan said at the end of it that I think is kind of important to bring up because I think it can actually lead to some middle ground between the left and the right. And first of all, like I'm sorry that you're going through this. Like I was listening to that live. Like I don't know all the details, but from at least what I saw, they obviously your stalker is insane. The other person like encouraging that behavior, enabling it, and like pushing it out is equally as immoral. Um, but my point is at the end of it, Dan said, the move is still believe all women, which I think is where my problem comes is because in your situation, and then I'm not saying that it's bad, but I'm not believing the woman, like, and I mean, maybe if I really knew everything about it, who knows? I doubt that my opinion would change on this situation. But my point is, um, don't you think that that's a problematic mindset to have? And don't you think it should be more the truth matters no matter what? And
I
you shouldn't preconceive to believe one side or the other.
I think when we say believe all women, we're talking about like someone's word versus someone else's word. And but when there's evidence to the contrary of what someone's saying, I think it's a little different. When there's
Right.
receipts, yeah, I think it's a little different.
No, so that's where I think like I agree, and I think that's the like because you hear this stuff like the Brett Kavanaugh stuff, right? And that was like where that whole kind of I mean I don't know if it wasn't specifically that, but that's when that the Me Too movement, believe all women, that kind of rhetoric, became super popular, and it's like, well, then Brett Kavanaugh had a hearing, and they were like, yeah, this isn't really there, um, and so my point is, it's like when you have the narrative believe all women, it's kind of saying, you know, guilty until innocent, in a way. And I'm not saying like, oh, don't listen to them, don't hear them out. I think that's exactly what you should do. I think you should say, whoa, 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 let's slow down, let's talk everything over, let's find out what happened, and then we can go from there. Um, and I think because that's just the intellectually and moral thing to do. Um,
The thing is, it's very hard to prove a lot of the cases that come forward. So it's very hard to prove, right? But when you have evidence, like actual evidence, physical evidence that you can point to like to possibly someone lying, I think that's when we could say that's an exception to the rule. But when it's one person's word versus another, I think that's when we still say believe all women. Also, I think the data shows that even with like prosecution rates and people being wrongfully accused and brought to court, I think that the evidence still shows that it most of the time the women isn't lying.
Well, that's true, but it's also just men are inherently more violent, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's just the so yeah, I'm not saying that like, oh, like, you know, tell them off or anything. I'm just saying I view it as kind of like rhetoric that gets you into a slippery slope when you have to defend yourself against an actual injustice, and like it's it's important to I think realize that kind of slippery slope or that you
Yeah.
kind of set
I
yourself up.
also think this is really in more in regards to like SA. And in my case there's not really SA.
It's true,
Not
but
really anything like that.
I mean it's like a it's definitely an abuse of some sort, right? And I mean, I think it could be like a domestic violence thing. I would say like you having a stalker or whatnot is I mean, I don't know how you want to characterize it, but I agree. It's hard to compare these types of things, but I mean, all of it's wrong, and I agree there is severity to everything, but I just think it should be more about finding the actual truth and facts versus just like entering a conversation with the preconceived notion of I'm not going to believe this one person, or I choose to believe this person over the other.
Yeah. I don't know. I think this is I think is also I kind of want to make my boundaries. Yesterday I kind of wanted to like button this up and have this be a thing that I was kind of done discussing on stream yesterday. So I think I think in that regards, I might want to talk about like I just want to probably do normal debates today. Do my best to try to do that.
Fair enough. Apologies. I didn't want to cause anything, but I did think that that was kind of a relevant topic, and so, but I
Okay.
appreciate it. And
Yeah.
yeah, have a good one, man.
All right. You too. What's going on, guys? What's going on, dude? Guys, it's Monday. It's gonna be a good week. It's gonna be an awesome week, and we're gonna get to 10K taps on that screen, guys. You'll learn that. You will learn that. I do want to do my best to do like normal debates today, guys. I think it's inevitable that over the course of like a week or two, we might have someone here or there have questions or something. I guess that's fine, but I definitely don't want that to be the focus of my streams.
How you doing?
What's up, bro? Are you a Trump supporter?
Yes.
All right. What do you like about Trump?
What do you hate about him?
Um, I think obviously his
You
character is a
can't even give it
problem
an
for most.
answer.
Of course, I can. I think his economic policy is horrible. I think his policy in general is incoherent. I think he was elected the last 3 election cycles. He hasn't even put forward any actual policy on paper. He actually, he's probably the most problematic person that walks the earth. I mean, I think that says it all, right?
You just said a whole lot of nothing.
His economic policy sucks. You want to debate that?
Okay.
What do you like about his economic policy? Can you name one thing that he said in the campaign trail, like an actual law that he was going to?
No tax on tips.
That's not happened yet.
So?
Do you want to see why I think that's never going to happen?
Okay.
Do you see this? This is the $4.5 trillion increase on the on the debt ceiling that he passed on the right, or they're going to pass. On the left is the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act extension. That come on, bro. The left is this red piece, barely fits inside of it. So he's going to do all of these things promised here on the left, and they don't fit. They don't fit in the budget. And he's also in line to again be the biggest spender in presidential history.
Okay. How about this? Where do you get those numbers from?
$4.5 billion is 4.5. I'm sorry, 4.5 trillion is literally in the legislation that he's passing. TCJA, the 4.2 trillion is literally, it's just the data. It's straight up just the data. That's how much money it took to spend for Trump's last tax cuts. It's just money. It's not
Stutter one more
something you
time.
I'm sorry.
I said stutter one more time.
Do you have a thing against people who stutter?
It's a damn it. I stuttered. Okay, let's just move on then.
Do you want to actually talk about the substance rather than talk about how I'm not a perfect speaker?
Okay, let's do it.
You see how no tax on tips doesn't fit inside of that brown box on the right?
That doesn't mean anything.
Can you tell me how that doesn't mean anything? These are just numbers. They don't line up.
So, we're the richest company in the world.
You just said company.
Yeah.
We have the most debt than anybody in the world, and Trump is adding to that. And he's cutting
Who's
things
gonna
such
make us
as
pay our debt? How about that?
that at a certain point when our GDP does not line up with how much debt we have, the dollar could collapse. That's why it's important not to have so much debt.
Yeah, but we're never gonna pay out our debt.
Well, that's what Trump is running on. His whole campaign is saying that he's going to use the Department of Government Efficiency to reduce our debt. All of these things he's doing. He's cutting USAID and a bunch of federal departments in the name of like consolidating or paying off our debts. If we're never going to pay off our debt, you're saying that maybe we cut all of these federal departments for nothing, which I
So
agree.
you don't want us to pay back our debt?
I do want to pay back our debt. Trump is
Okay,
exploding
but
our
Trump
debt.
wants to do that.
Trump is exploding our deficit. Can you tell me how this is a step towards that?
You just told me he's gonna pay off the debt.
No, I said that he said he's going to, but this doesn't show that. In fact, he's going to spend more than he promised he was.
Good. We want him to spend money on our country.
I don't feel like you're being consistent here, bro.
I don't think you're being consistent. Anyone could throw out that word.
Okay. Trump says he's going to pay off our debt. The evidence shows he's not. Can you give me an
Okay.
argument? Can you tell me what your belief is?
First of all, debt isn't a bad thing.
I just explained to you how it is.
No, it's not. You said a whole lot of nothing.
Can you tell me what I said to you in regards to our debt? Why it's bad?
It's going to collapse the US dollar, which is not true.
Can you tell me how that's not true? You can't just say it's not true.
We're the richest country in the world.
That doesn't mean that we can't crash the US dollar.
Are you crying?
No, I'm sick.
Oh, okay. You're good?
Dog, what do you have any
Spit it
actual
out.
substance you want to add to this?
How tall are you?
I'm 6'4".
Stand up.
Why?
I want to see. You are not 6'4".
My head touches the ceiling.
No,
Are
it
we going to
doesn't.
talk about what I'm actually talking about, bro?
Okay.
Breadbasket, we're real close to going to the next guest.
All right. So how about this? She said that she wants to legalize weed, but she didn't do that.
She was vice president. Her job was to have a heartbeat.
Well, she should have done more than that.
She did.
Are your ceilings 5 feet tall?
Come on, guys. This isn't Tinder. This isn't farmers only. Yeah, he's completely unserious. Yeah. Yeah, guys, we're looking for real debates. If you're a Trump supporter and you want to debate, come tell me why you like Trump. Pop in the box. Otherwise, you should be tapping that screen. Tap that screen. Guys, I have a Cash App and Vimeo in the bio. If you guys want to kick somebody, if I'm actually having a real conversation with somebody, you're welcome to pay to kick through my Cash App or Venmo. It's $40. It's a lot because I don't want it to happen too often. That's why it's so high. It's not because I'm a Trumpian weirdo. And I am sick. I think I have like a sinus infection, chat. Ooh, thank you, Brittany, for all the shares. Also, what does it matter when it comes to my height? I don't know. He's probably looking at something to say about me that has nothing to do with our conversation. Just finding a way to attack me personally. Is it green? No, all white logs. Did I ever ball? No. No. Trump train, all dims, all board. One-way trip to El Salvador. That's how you know MAGA is fascist. They are ready to lock up their political opponents. Can we pay for you to get a checkup? I can't promise that I'll take that money and do that. I have too many other things going on. I'm saving up. People keep making fun of me because I don't drive. I am roughly $700 or $800 away from being able to drive again. We're working on that. And I'm sick of it. I don't know if I like the new switch away from hearts. Drink some tea. I have some hot coffee. Travel around on all fours on my Lamborghinis. What car am I going to buy? Honda Civic. You like this cup? Guys, this cup is a rock climber cup. You see it's a pinch hold? It's a rock. See that? Come up and debate me. If you think this isn't the coolest cup ever, come up and debate me. Subaru, I don't mind a Subaru too. Ford Fiesta. I'm down. Honestly, I don't like Ford that much. I'm too tall for a Civic. I'm too tall for most cars. I'm down for Camry too. Yellow?
Yeah, I actually think I have a better cup than that. Mine is like Legos, and you can build off of it. I think that's better than a pinch hold.
No.
But like it is though.
Yeah.
Just personally believe that.
I'm gonna Google this right now. I'm gonna Google this.
You're gonna look up the Lego mug.
Yeah. Is it this one?
Yeah, that's way cooler.
Guys, one in the chat if my mug is cooler. Two in the chat if his is cooler. Yeah, these aren't that tight.
Chat's not putting any numbers. Come on, guys.
Wow. Wow, we do have some twos in there.
Yeah.
Not liking this. Chat, go ahead and ban everybody that puts two in the chat. Mods, go ahead and do that. Pickles in a geomotor. All right, go on, get. I see what looks like. Am I rock climber? I am. I'm a boulder. I do bouldering. It's only $350. Wait, this one is $16, by the way. Reported for abuse of power. Wow. A boulder holder. I like that. You need a Volkswagen Bug? Uh, you know what I've always wanted is a Mini Cooper, but I am actually too big for Mini Cooper. My head does, like, I have to drive like this. I've done it. Aren't you too tall to rock climb? No way. Kia Souls? Kia Souls are the anti-poon. Yeah, African. Yellow?
Yo,
What's up? Are you a Trump supporter?
yeah,
What do you like about Trump?
his policy on immigration.
Do you think we should be sending people without criminal backgrounds to prison?
Um, I think we should be sending people that have committed a crime to prison. Yeah, well, depends on the severity, but I think that crossing the border is a pretty big crime illegally.
It's a Class C misdemeanor, and it's a civil. It's like a civil. It's like a.
Yeah,
It's like a parking ticket.
I don't agree with that.
Well, that's what the law is. You can't just not agree with
Yeah,
that.
but that I'm just saying. But I think that people that don't deserve to be in the country because they've came here illegally is just it's not right, you know.
Do you think that you should spend the rest of your life in jail for crossing an imaginary line, as Trump would say?
I don't know about rest of your life. That's
Well,
kind of
that's what
crazy.
he's doing. So I guess you don't agree with Trump's immigration policy, right?
But he's not saying them like forever there.
They are there forever. Yes.
Really?
Yes. There's no way out. Yes.
Oh. Well, I'd say that like it's fine like for to send them, but like I don't know about forever. I think there should be like a limit.
It's literally a death camp.
Wait, so El Salvador?
Yeah.
Like the prison's there?
Yeah.
It's not a death camp because they're not dying in there.
Quite literally, the only way out is dying.
Well, only the niggers are dying because they're Heil Hitler, nigger, nigger, Heil.
You can tell he's a Trump supporter because of the way he is. You see how that works, chat? Oof. Oof. Sorry, chat. I didn't see the warnings. I didn't see the warnings. Send that to his employer. I would love to, but best crowdsourcing is chat. I know. It's just it moves fast. First world problems. He does it in every live. I didn't know that. If anybody saw him, we could ban him. If anyone sees his name in chat. Hey, since you know everything, why don't you tell us why 30% of liberals hate America? JW, literally 100% of MAGA hates America and the Constitution and are willing to let one man who paints his face orange change the laws of the land based on his wants and needs. Just one person. So you're either a patriot to the Constitution or you're a patriot to a man who paints his face orange. We are bigger patriots than you. I don't see how the likes are different. Why is the president selling crypto? Right? How can I be on the show? You have to come to my TikTok. You have to come to my TikTok and join. You have TDS. Oh, God. Go put on a dress. You guys see how these people are so lost that They can't actually address politics. They have to personally attack because their beliefs and their ego are so fragile and they're so easily disproven that they get violent. They get emotionally violent when you bring up the obvious holes in their logic. By the way, chat, if you guys haven't seen it, I have a new hat on today. Can you guys see what it says? What do y'all think? You can't be MAGA and a patriot. Exactly. They make Trump their whole personality. They wrap their trucks. They get tattoos. They wear American flag t-shirts and hats. It's like being proud that you're vanilla. It's like being proud that you're the most bland person on earth. If your personality is the American flag, you're just kind of weird. If my side spews BS and misinformation constantly, come up and tell me what you're talking about. I could probably go over like 4 things Trump did this week that are like worse than most presidents say in their entire presidency. Go over like 4 things this week. Trump receiving a $400 million plane from Qatar and then snapping at a reporter for asking him about it. That's fake news. By the way, it's true. And it was a very luscious gift, and anybody else would be grateful. And it's fake news. The plane is crazy, dude. Every day for Trump is a new low. It's true. 400 million, not 40 million. Yeah, I know. Like, one thing that Trump does this week would have gotten you kicked all the way out of politics like 10 years ago, before he started muddying the waters, before people had to keep figuring out the bottom, like how low they can go. Both sides spread bias, misinformation, no doubt. I would say that there might be some ways that you could say the left frames things in a way to suit their audience. But I don't think they spread misinformation as much, not even close. Like, I would say the left is like a 1 out of 10, and the right's like a 12 out of 10. Shameless. Shameless, horrible, anti-American propaganda. Like, you either go along with the lies or you're a rhino. That's what the right is. I think Trump's exposing the Zionists that control both sides. The same Trump that's like besties with Netanyahu. The same Trump that wants to build Trump Tower in Gaza. That guy? Do you think Trump has any integrity whatsoever? I literally think he doesn't. Can we get clarifications on the statements about from... No, guys, if you guys want more information on the drama that dropped 2 days ago, you're welcome to go watch my last live. It's on YouTube. But all of my personal drama, I'm gonna try to like I'm gonna kind of put some boundaries up, guys. I'm pretty sure most of this is addressed. Yeah, I'm good. For those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, you're welcome to just go watch my last video that I uploaded. And it says, "Let's talk" on the front. Who was happy to see Trump win every swing state? About 48% of the country was not happy to see that. He won by 1.7%. Where people's feet were when they voted is pretty irrelevant to me. That's just a factor of DEI that you guys embrace. It's the DEI voting system that you guys love. Electoral college. People love Trump. Trump is the most controversial person to walk the earth. Trump president, you're not. You got me. You got me. Guys, are we? Do we have any debates in the box? Does anybody want to debate? Anybody want to hop in the box? Come tell me why they like Trump. I might turn on the YouTube phone number. If somebody wants to call in, I will turn that on soon. Yellow.
What's up? I
What's up,
like
bro?
Trump.
All right, what do you like about Trump, man?
So I think me and Trump agree, or a shared vision we have is giving states more power and less federal oversight.
I don't think that's the thing he actually believes in, and his recent actions kind of contradict that. So he's done a lot of things to use the federal government to defund cities that don't bend to his will, like sanctuary cities. He's been using his power to defund colleges that don't bend to his will. Same thing with just states. He's also I mean, he did defund FEMA so that the states are left high and dry so they could fend for themselves. So that's one way he's doing it, but that's about it.
Yeah, but so like everyone talks about how the justices and how he put in all these justices in the Supreme Court, and all of them are weigh heavily in favor of like states' rights. And I think that is like
They're states' rights only when it makes them like when it wins them an argument, but in every other aspect, he is literally trying to do everything he can to have as much power as possible over the states and cities he disagrees with.
But the government he's imposed has like already checked the executive power. Just because I would agree that he definitely like tests and tries to see how much executive power he has. He's like, how far did the indirect powers go? I would agree with that, which I think is a very liberal thing to do, actually. Like trying to test your executive powers is pretty liberal. I know he has conservative beliefs and whatnot, but that in its root is, and the court that the justices he implemented are very pro-state, and so it's like they're not going to allow him to commit the overreach that everyone is concerned about.
They're arguing that they don't have to listen to these justices anymore, and in fact, he's talking about habeas corpus. You heard Stephen Miller talk about that, suspending it. What happens if Trump suspends a judge that doesn't agree with him, or a congressperson that doesn't pass a law that he likes? Do you think they'll do anything he wants after that?
No, but I think there is an issue. Like I'm more of like a libertarian, but I'm pragmatic in my sense. Like I understand that the way the system is built, like you kind of have to. If I want libertarian, ways, it's going to have to be done through the system we have, which is inherently not really libertarian. So it's like kind of,
I'm saying like Trump has problems with the checks and balances that are in place right now, and he's trying to convince his base that they're bad.
But again, saying that there are corrupt bureaucrats within our government is not a bad thing. He's not calling out all. He hasn't called out the Supreme Court once. He called out a few liberal, like I think the one that he was very vocal about was maybe an immigration judge. I'm not too sure on the details.
I don't think anybody who says, "Hey, we believe in due process," is a corrupt activist. I think they're just literally doing the bare minimum.
Well, no, because one of the immigration judges was like, "You're not doing enough to facilitate, because when the Supreme Court said you have to facilitate the return of Kilmar Brega Garcia, Trump was like, yeah, if Bukele, releases him, we'll send a plane, we'll return it back
Have
to
you
the United
seen what it
States.
looks like when Trump actually doesn't get his way? You've seen that, right? Do you think that's what's happening with Bukele and him? Do you think that Trump actually wants that person to come back? Like when Trump wants his way
No, no,
and
no. Kilmar.
he goes ham. He goes
No, no.
crazy.
So again, Kilmar will not. But even if Kilmar comes back, it's not for him to stay here, right? It would be for him to be deported to another country,
Exactly. After due
another country,
process. Exactly. So
or
long as
or
every single person Trump kidnaps gets due process. That's what we want. As long as that happens, he can go wherever if he's found guilty of the worst crimes and he goes to jail, that's fine. But I don't want Trump to have a door or an option to send people away without due process. So
Well,
we're
there
not
is.
specifically worried about Kilmer Abrego Garcia as much as we are like everybody else's rights.
But
That's what we're worried about.
there are extradited deportation and like immigration laws within the Constitution that allow for, under circumstances and
Yeah, if you're here under a certain amount of time and if you're within a certain range of the border, yes, you could have an expedited removal, and that's been the case for a while since Obama. That's fine, and as long as you can operate within that, which is insane, like we're doing great. Biden did more deportations by far, and he didn't have to break the law. He didn't have to do any of that to achieve that. But seemingly Trump has to break the law to get his way, and that's where we kind of have a
Well,
problem.
he didn't break the law. He didn't break the law, or else the court would have, well, they broke the law for Kilmar because they sent him somewhere where he was not permitted to go, but that's the only
So he did.
violation. But again, the violation wasn't deporting him; it was sending him to El Salvador, and I think that's an important distinguish.
Without due process.
He had to. I mean, Kilmar had multiple immigration hearings where he was given
That's not
due
process to be deported.
Yes, of course,
No.
he had due process to be
His
deported.
his two court cases, last one in 2019, determined that he had protective status to not be deported to El Salvador.
Correct.
Yeah, and they didn't say,
El
okay,
Salvador.
now it's time to go.
No.
That wasn't
So
it.
this is what the immigration. I read it, bro, and it literally said, he's a El Salvadorian national. He can no longer apply for asylum because he's missed the time frame to apply
Right.
for asylum.
Yeah.
So he is not in a health crisis. And then they said, however, there may be a threat to him in gang violence in El Salvador.
And
So he has no reason to stay in America, but we are not allowed to send him to El Salvador. So that means we had to find.
He was kind of
another
he was
country
kind of
to
left
send
in limbo. But for Trump to automatically label him as MS-13 was wrong. You can't do that without due process.
Well,
and-
I mean,
and that's
he
that's what-
definitely, whether he was an official member or not, he was definitely had ties and connections to people within the gang.
You'd have to prove that in court, and that's what we're requiring. That's what we want.
Yeah, I mean, I read the police report.
Then you would know
when
that
was
he didn't
arrested in
actually have any real
2019.
ties, and that the people that claimed he was part of MS-13 claimed they saw him in New York when he was never even been to New
No, I'm
York.
talking about the individuals he was arrested with. The people he was with were
In
actual
Texas?
members. No, it was in Texas, outside the. No, it was in Maryland. Sorry, and when he was arrested outside of the Home Depot for loitering, it was him and 3 other people, and the 3 other people were all known MS-13 members.
Police are not judges, and again, what if they arrest you and say you're MS-13? What if they do that?
Yeah, I would be able to prove very easily that I'm not.
And at what point in the process do you get to prove you're not an MS-13? Tell me.
Well, I would start by not wearing the apparel.
No. This is after you're arrested.
What?
After
Yeah,
you're
no, I'm
arrested.
saying.
Go ahead and
well,
tell
I'm
me,
saying-
what would you
I'm
do?
So I'm saying I wouldn't, set myself up to be arrested.
Okay,
for
but
something.
after you're arrested and they say you're MS-13, at
Well,
what point do you get to prove you're not? Tell me.
he got arrested for loitering.
Okay, and that's not gang affiliation, right?
Correct. The people he were with were active suspects and involved in an ongoing murder investigation, and they were all wearing MS-13 apparel.
So
You
this
know,
is this is where it
so
gets
I
murky,
agree.
and you need to prove whether or not you're just hanging out or you just so happen to be standing next to
Yeah, yeah.
people in a day labor spot where just the most random people stand. It doesn't mean you're best friends with them.
Well, that's why his bond was denied, because so you realize, like, for bond, you actually have to prove that you're not uh, like, oh, I'm good, I'll come back, this and that. The judge was like, I'm not granting him bond because he hasn't proved, he's not, like, he's shown these signs that he's affiliated with these people, and he's shown no other.
Okay, the only evidence they had on him that said he might be affiliated was a Bulls hat, which we now know that's BS, and his tattoos,
And a
which
sweatshirt that he was wearing when he got arrested this
a
day.
Bulls sweatshirt.
No, it was a sweatshirt that had the money signs in different from different countries, different denominations, and it had like like it had these weird eyes on it. It's just like a known MS-13 sign, like
Again,
the
that
eye with the
hasn't.
money.
I don't feel like that is enough either. Like this is all speculation. This is all speculation, and it turns out that we found out
Well,
through leaks in intelligence from the U.S. government that MS-13 isn't actually being controlled by a different country, and they're not actually a terrorist organization like Trump has labeled them. So Trump is literally just doing this in order to get his way with deportations without due process. Like he is using the law in a heinous way, if you ask me.
how is MS-13 not
It's just a
a
gang.
terrorist organization?
It's just a gang. What is a terrorist
I think
organization?
a group that is inspiring harm onto innocent civilians in
In an effort to do what?
effort to destruct a country's sovereignty, their morals, their
Their
directives.
politics.
Like, it's
For
an
a
attack
political
on their
motive.
state, their politics.
They do it
not
with
like
a
their
political
politics,
motive.
not like, correct.
Yeah,
Well,
and MS-13
a
does not
politi-
have
it
that.
doesn't have to be a
MS-13,
political. It doesn't have to be a political motive.
it does.
Al
That's what
Qaeda
a
is a religious motive. Al Qaeda is a religious. It's not political.
Well,
It's
Al-Qaeda.
it's about social constructs and the way of life. It's like they hate us. They hate Al Qaeda hates all Western life. It doesn't matter if it's a multi-party system like
Okay, we'll describe Western life.
England or a two-part what?
Yeah, you're about to start talking about people who do not have religion and government intertwined. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, we don't even.
That sounds
have
like
re- I mean,
something
we have.
political.
No, I'm saying that's how you know that it's not only political. I'm saying it's broader than that. It doesn't. Sure, political is definitely a part of it, and it can be a reason of it, but it's not only. It's more so
Okay,
the
political or ideological goals. There you go.
yeah,
So
ideological.
MS-13
There you go.
is they don't have ideologies. They don't have a political motive. They're
They definitely
simply
do have
just horrible
ideologies.
people.
The gangs definitely have ideologies, shared practices, trained rituals. All so they have all those things, right? They have common
No, they
motives
don't.
and directives.
What is their
Gangs,
religion? What is MS-13's like
they
unique
don't have
religion?
it's. I'm not well versed in MS-13. I'm just saying, gangs have hierarchies. They have you're not gonna be. I'm not gonna join a
Okay,
gang because I
that's
don't
organized crime.
subscribe to that
You're talking about
lifestyle.
organized crime. That is not terrorism.
I mean, in MS-13's whole goal is to destroy and interfere with civilian and American
I think
life,
they're
and I don't
literally
understand how
just
it's not terrorism.
the same exact thing as the domestic gangs we have here, with a different
But they work
name
with.
and a different origin.
Well, so I have a question. If you think if a gang, like, smuggling drugs through the southern border, I think that's like definitely kind of
They're simply,
terrorism in a
if
way.
their motives are profit and not political or ideological impacts, then no, they're not a T group.
But if they also have very strong ideological stances and morals, like the moral coachings, moral codes, ethical codes, like they have all these codes and whatnot, but then they're also trying to seek profit. Like, it's not
It's just a
as
profit thing,
black
and they
and
started in the
white.
U.S. Per chat.
Is it
Like
a profit thing?
someone keeps saying they
But
started in the U.S. So the
It's
whole
like the
thing
same
that
thing.
the only thing that made them a terrorist organization in the eyes of the government was the fact that Trump's administration claims that they were being controlled by a foreign country, and they had ulterior motives than just doing crime to make money.
Well, correct, but I mean they have ulterior motives to just incite harm and violence.
That's not to do like were they targeting like
How about
what
like when
what
they? How about
Luigi
in
was
Colorado?
accused of?
How about in Colorado when they took over a whole entire apartment building and
Exactly,
kicked
that's just
and
organized crime.
people?
Like if they took over a conservative if they took over like the RNC, then you could say that. Or if they took over like a conservative
Be
judge's
political.
home, then you could say that. But no, this was this was just a thing they did. If that even did happen, which I'm starting to think that thing was a lie that you're talking about in Aurora. That was all
It
made
is
up.
not allowed.
It was
It's
all
not.
made up. Yes, it was.
It is not.
Literally the property management company was caught in a scheme, and they were going to have their buildings classified, I believe, as what's it called, uh two different gangs too. Yeah, they were going to be what's it called, condemning that building because they're not taking care of their tenants, they're not maintaining the buildings. And what they did to avoid bad press was they blamed it on gangs interfering and taking over the complexes. And the local municipalities came out, including the police chief and the mayor of Aurora. They both came out and said there's no gang activity taking over these apartments. That was a lie. It was manufactured BS in the news.
Agree to disagree.
You can't disagree. The literal mayor came out and said it. I'll pull it up.
Okay, politicians lie all the time. Like,
Okay, but you know better than the mayor? You know better than the police
I
chief? The
didn't say
police
that,
chief is not a
but it's
politician.
also like if you're a mayor and it's your city and you're not gonna and you like you're not gonna come out and say, yeah, you're right. Under
What about
my
the police
watch, I
chief?
let this happen. They're gonna cover people cover shit up all the time. Like, I'm just saying.
Dog, we have
Again,
videos of all of these.
if you're a police chief and you want to keep your job, you better not come and report. Yeah, I let you know
Bro,
large
they had
groups of
independent
individuals
journalists
take
coming
over.
in and talking to the residents of those buildings, and they're just like, no, but they need to change my water heater because that's been fucked for like a year, and I have mold. Like, that's all they found.
Well, fair. Even beyond that, even let's just say it's not true. I still don't think like you know labeling MS-13 as a terrorist organization. I don't understand why that's so controversial. I mean, I hope we could all agree that
Because it
MS-13 is
bypasses certain
inherently
laws and
evil.
protections we have. So just because you're part of a gang doesn't mean you have no due process. That gets really fucking scary. That's where we've seen Trump abuse his power and stretch it to like the limit every time in every sense of the way. And for him to label a random group like a gang in the United States a T group so that he gets to send them to jail for the rest of their lives without any due process, that is terrifying. That is stomping all
Is
over civil
I have a
rights.
question. Is MS-13 majority is a compromised majority of American citizens or foreign nationals?
Probably American citizens.
You really
It
think that?
yeah, it was started here in the United States. So you're probably just a descendant
Again, just because
of.
it was started here doesn't mean it was made by citizens. There's plenty of people here that live here on visas, etc., that are not citizens of the United States and nationals of other countries.
Do you have evidence of the contrary? Because it
Or-
started here, and people can be descendants of
again,
those countries.
just because it starts here doesn't mean it's not.
It's an American gang.
That has to be.
It is quite literally an American gang.
All right. Let's look.
It originated in Los Angeles, California, in the 1980s. This is in Wikipedia, by the way. The gangs that we talk about in El Salvador are Tren de Agua, and there was another one, like something points, 3 points or something. Can I let Naquan up? Salvadorian Americans. So primarily Salvadorians and Salvadorian Americans. Hondurans, Guatemalans, Mexicans, other people can be the targets of violence. Mara Salvatrucha.
Yeah. So it was founded in Los Angeles by El Salvadorian immigrants, majority of which, if not all, were not American citizens.
And its founding, right?
What?
That was the 1980s, 34 years ago, 35 years ago. So
Correct.
if you're in it now, that doesn't mean you're an immigrant.
So if an American citizen, what happened in New Orleans, that guy who was served in our military was an American citizen. He's not part of he's not part of ISIS because he's an American. He was flying an ISIS flag. He committed a car crash. Just because you're an American doesn't mean you
I'm
can't
not.
be part of.
You're the one making a
terrorist.
claim that they're either all mostly one way or the other, and
No,
I'm
no.
saying that
I'm
this is
saying
not being controlled by, for instance, Bukele. If Bukele was out here controlling MS-13, or if a gang leader in El Salvador was controlling them remotely from El Salvador, that's different, and that's what Trump claims. And we have intelligence saying that that's not true. That's what I'm saying.
so. What I'm saying is, it's a group that was originated by foreign nationals, and its sole objective was to incite violence, criminal activity within our society and culture. So, attacking our society, our culture, our ways, our rule of law. And it was foreign agitators that created this movement. I agree that, yes, Americans can now subject themselves and join along in that movement. However, the same way that if I decided to uh, join a terrorist organization like Al
Again,
Qaeda,
again, this is
does
a
not
stretch.
matter that I was born
Al
in
Qaeda
America. It
has
is not a
actual
stretch.
Al
It's not
Qaeda
a
has
stretch.
actual things that they're doing to to affect our politics and our ideologies. MS-13 is not.
MS-13 definitely affects our politics, definitely affects our economy,
Can
all
you
of
tell
that,
me? Can you
100%.
tell me the distinguishment between MS-13 and, say, like the Crips or the Bloods or something, a gang here domestically in the U.S. as well? What distinguishes them to make them a T group that
One,
does not
so
apply to those
one,
gangs?
one was created by foreign nationalists as way to incite and create violence, economic gain for their gang,
Okay, they do that too. That's
etc.
not a difference.
No. The difference. Did you hear the whole thing I said?
You
It
said that
was
one was
a
created by a foreign nationalist. That is not criteria for a T group.
that 100%
That is not
is
criteria for
part
a
of a
T group.
terrorist group.
You can
It's
be
an
a domestic T group, can't you? So that's not a
correct.
thing. Go ahead.
And gangs are domestic terrorists. Like, what are you
No, they're
talking
not.
about? The Crips are 100% domestic
No, they're not.
terrorists. 100%.
No, they're not.
How are they not?
Do we have them? Do we have them? They are not officially a T group.
Hey, Pickle. First of all, thank you for letting me up.
Uh-huh.
Doc Maga, you're 100% wrong. I am an ex gang member. I used to belong to the Crips. MS-13 was started in LA prison system as protection, just like multiple other gangs were started as protection. Did it continue to be that? No, but it was started as protection in LA prison system because they were outnumbered. It was for protection. We have this thing in the prison system that is called politics. when you align with a certain race, you have to go with that race. They were outnumbered, getting smurdered, jumped, raped, and all this other stuff in there. All of them people were not foreign people. They were born here, most of them, and they were citizens. You are way out of your league on this conversation. Just because your president tell you it's a T group does not mean it's a T group. But you do know what is the number one T group, domestic T group in America? White T nationalists, Proud Boys, Triple K, Boogaloo Boys. They're wanted on the
Speak.
FBI wanted list as number one.
Correct. Correct. Those people are actually trying to affect our politics. Those people have insane ideologies, such as one race might be superior to other races, or that being gay or straight has a morality. Things like that. Those things can be considered a T group. Not just simply acting together and being bad actors and doing crime. That is not a T group.
And most people don't even know Crips and Blood used to be one
So,
gang.
I have a
It
question.
started in LA as protection against the Triple K and the police out there because black people were getting beat, raped, ran out of their homes, and all of this other stuff. So it started as protection to protect the neighborhood from outside people.
Yeah, so I can agree with all that, but what do you think of like the Colombian cartels? They were designated as terrorist organizations in like the 1990s to 2000s. Like it's not like just because it's a gang doesn't mean it's protected from terrorism
Do you know the
designation.
difference between a cartel and a gang?
The MS-13 is actively involved in drug smuggling, everything.
Not all branches. Some branches may, yes, but
Okay, I get
most
your
of them
point.
don't believe in it. Just like the Crips and the Blood, everybody don't partake in the same stuff. So trying to lump everybody in as one doesn't make sense. That's like me trying to label Pickle in as a racist because he's white. It doesn't add up.
What? If you're an MS-13 member, then you obviously agree with their motives. What are you
No,
talking about?
because all of them don't run by the same rules. There are different chapters of every gang. Everybody does not follow the same rule.
Okay, just
Some-
because there's small subsects within a gang does not make
No,
it
no, no.
any.
Chapters, not subset.
There's
Chapters.
okay. That's the same thing with the Colombian cartels. It was a organization of like the Medellin cartel was multiple cartels that had an organization that were all different and they all like what I don't understand your argument. It's not
And I'm
really
pretty
a
sure
very good
most
one.
of them did not follow all the same rules, just like the mafia up here. Some believe in
Correct.
prostitution.
And they
Some
were still
believe.
designated a
Some believe
terrorist
in.
organization.
No, tell me when the mafia was designated as a T group member.
I'm talking about the Colombian cartels.
Okay, and like I said, the same thing with the mafia up here. Just because they was all considered as the family doesn't mean they all follow the same the rules. Some practicing prostitution,
Yeah.
some did
That
illegal
see
gambling, some did shrugs, but most of them, a lot of them probably didn't.
Here's what I
okay.
would say. Like the mission, like if you could make up a mission statement for each of these groups, it would look totally different than what you would see for a T group. So like if MS-13's mission statement was we're going to protect our kind and we'll do whatever means it takes to survive in capitalist America, and we will do crime, we will do shrugs, we'll traffic pew pews if that's what we have to do. That's different than from being like an Al Qaeda saying like all shall bow to a certain god, and Western politics and America is the enemy of us, and we are going to, I don't know, fly planes into buildings to make them scared, to strike fear into the hearts of Americans, and so that they see the power that we hold, and we believe that dying by like self explosion is going to send us straight to heaven. That's an ideology. That is a political motive. Being in a gang does not make you a T group. Your mission statement is to not follow the rules. That's about it.
But also, Dark MAGA, most cartels are successful because of us. Because of us and our CIA.
Oh wow.
So, there's proof of MS-13 engaging in a lot of political
Show the proof.
in El Salvador. Yeah, okay, I'll DM you
I mean,
links to the articles right now.
you might be talking about like Bukele paying gangs to do corrupt things to perpetuate wartime laws so that he stays in power. But that would make them a T group in El Salvador, not here.
No, like they will like sell their votership to a candidate or something like that. Like they'll oppose certain political parties and whatnot within the system. They have motivations. They have like I'm just saying they are acting in the politics of El Salvador.
Dark
So
MAGA.
that means like
Somebody got a strike. I can't tell who, but someone got a strike.
it didn't come across mine, so it's probably him. But Dark MAGA, that would mean like MAGA,
How do I check?
Boys, Boogaloo Boys, Triple K. They all back Trump. So does that mean they're a T group member by your logic?
I would say that the Triple K, the
Those are
yeah, that's
actual T
terrorist
groups.
organization. Like yeah, I would
FBI
I'm not disputing that. I'm against all evil. So
But where
So
where
are you against the selling of pew-pews? Because
no, I don't think that's inherently evil.
but that's what's sustaining all of these groups.
yeah,
Literally,
America, American gun sales are supporting these groups. No,
yeah,
Yes.
because Mexico get all of their pew pews from us. All of their.
So if you want to uproot the evil, you tell your politicians to not sell the pew-pews.
Again, politicians aren't selling pew-pews.
Well, no, actually, a few politicians tried to do a bus and buy sting. Quite a few of them, and it fell through. And what happened was those pew-pews made it across the border.
Also,
So, it is our politicians that are doing stuff like that.
Correct, but again, just because like there's bad actors doesn't mean you should like that is obviously an example of neglect and like some malpractice. It's not like, oh yeah, we're gonna send these guns there. Guns get into the wrong hands of people. That's not that's different.
You're okay with making excuses for the pew-pew lobby in America, but you don't want to make excuses for gangs that were basically created in the beginning for survival of groups. Like what?
Again,
What the hell? Double standard.
Again, whoa, hold on, real quick. No, I gotta respond to her real quick.
Understood what I said. Our government was actively selling these things to cartels as bus and buys, and it fell through, and it made it across the border. They wasn't trying to sell it to regular citizens and bus and buy them. They were targeting cartels and selling it to them and thinking that they was gonna be able to track them, which it didn't happen, and it made it across the border. So our government was actively selling these things to cartel members. So we are providing them with the pew pew, which are allowing them to continue to do this stuff.
Also, we
hold on,
know.
if I could just respond before you say
wait, because I have an extra level of information.
No, I'd rather respond to what you first accused me of. Because you're comparing selling weapons. I just want to make sure this is correct. You compared selling.
Use safe language.
Is the selling pew-pews is a moral equivalent to forming and partaking in gang activity? Is that the argument?
It's worse.
That's a very bad analogy.
It's worse.
Okay, that's
It's
insane.
it's worse.
That's insane.
The pew pew industry in America is worse than gangs.
Being and joining a group that actively participates in crime, destruction of communities, fear, as gangs
You
do,
know what I call
is
that?
no. Please let me finish. I don't
You know
interrupt
what
you.
I call that?
No, I don't interrupt you. Please
School
be
pew
respectful.
pewers.
Please be respectful.
School
I'm
pew
just saying.
pewers.
I want
Why do
to.
we exist?
Please be respectful because there's
Why do they
deranged,
exist?
evil people in this world.
But if the basically the pew pew lobbies in America did not exist and they were not selling pew pews to 18-year-olds that have a history of psychological problems, school pew pewers wouldn't exist. But yet you are making excuses
There are
for
plenty of
an
there.
industry that has a massive lobby that puts more importance in their bottom line of
Do you
making
know
a
how many
profit out
people?
of pew pews instead of keeping children in America alive.
Okay, I'm curious because you seem super invested in how many people a year pass away due to pew pews in America every year. Let's
40,000
see
last year.
if you know something. Well, I was asking her because I knew she was going to be way
Well,
off.
last year there was 349 school pew pewings. That's almost as many days as we have in a year. And so far this year, I believe
What?
we're around
Did you say
70.
149 is almost as many
No,
days we have in a year?
349.
Okay.
That's almost as
Okay.
So
many days as we have
My
in a
bad.
year.
according to the Pew Research Center, 47,000 people in 2023 have unalived from pew pew related injuries in the United
You
States.
you want to hear?
You wanna see the
Wait,
exact
you want to hear
same
something
kind of
crazy? Wait, hold
statistics,
on.
but
Are you
for other countries?
pro-choice? Are you pro-choice?
Darling, my bodily autonomy does not
Do
equivalent.
you know how many unborn babies were unalived?
None, because unborn
A
babies is not a
million.
thing.
A million.
None,
A
because
million.
unborn babies
So
is not a thing.
you're talking about moral equivalencies. I don't know why I can't say that word. And
Dark
you're
matter,
comparing me.
dark
You're saying
matter,
I'm immoral
uh,
because I stand up against gangs, but allow
dark
people to
matter,
sell guns.
darling.
And so now I'm saying you're
I
immoral
am a
because
medical
you want to talk
researcher.
about
I know what
guns,
I'm talking
but
about.
you're supporting the
You
unaliving
know
and
how
the
many
ceasing of 1 million people
babies
from
die?
existing.
None, because unborn
A
babies don't
million.
exist.
Okay, how about this? How about this? You know how many lives ceased to exist, were terminated?
None, because
Terminated. What?
before viability,
That's
the fetus is not alive.
some states you can get an abortion after viability. First of all,
You
second of
know
all,
the you know
second
you
of
know
all,
why those
second of
cases
all,
exist. You know
second of
why
all,
those cases exist.
Do you agree? Yes.
All right, W Laney's in the chat. $40 for the kick.
Pickles, thanks for having me up. It's just that I don't like when they try to make it seem like MS-13 was started in El Salvador and it's a T group. It never was started in El Salvador. Maybe some are there now because a lot of them was probably deported, but it wasn't started there. It was started here as protection.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think when we start blurring the line between gangs, cartels, organized crime, and terrorists for the reason of taking their rights away and for being able to punish them without due process, that's extremely scary. And I think we should be very careful with that. I think it's a delicate issue, and for MAGA to justify Trump's actions is bad. It's real bad.
All right, thanks for having me up. I'll continue watching.
Anytime. Yo, thank you guys. Thank you both. I love you both. Thank you.
You're great, Pickles.
You too. Thank you, Silico. Yellow.
Hey, what's up?
I know you're a Trump supporter. What do you like about Trump?
Hey, what's up? Maybe the executive order to lower the price of drugs.
You know what? I will say, without knowing anything about that, it sounds like it's pretty good.
Hell yeah. That's
So
one
you,
thing. I just came up to say you should probably give that dude a shout out again. Whoever donated the $40.
yeah, thanks Laney for the shot for the
Laney,
$40.
Laney saved you, bro. That motherfucking dark MAGA guy. That dude was smart as shit. He was
Yeah,
cooking. He was
listen,
cooking.
I don't think we can argue about who's smarter or what, but I definitely don't agree that he was winning any part of that conversation.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Whatever.
Do you want to actually do a debate, or is that all you
No,
want to
no,
say?
no. That's the only thing I came up for. I'll hop down.
All right, go on, get. Chat, tap the screen. Let's get to 100K real quick. Hello.
Hello?
What's up? Are you a Trump supporter?
No, I'm not a Trump supporter. I came on your live probably last week before talking about like Trump, like things that he's done that he could do to improve as a president, even though that we might dislike him. But I had another question regarding Trump with one of his recent decisions. I wanted to see your like opinion on the move that he made with Israel, cutting all ties with Netanyahu and making a deal with Saudi Arabia, effectively saying that he's going to recognize Palestine now as like a country.
Wait, Trump did this?
Yeah, it's recent news. I believe it came about 4 or 5 days ago. I might be mistaken, but I just read about it this morning.
Gaza straining Trump Netanyahu relationship. Trump cuts ties to Netanyahu over manipulation concerns.
Yeah, it should be that, if I'm not mistaken.
Correspondent from Israeli Army Radio. He said it in an X post. I don't know. That's the only thing that I've seen.
The other information that I had gotten from it, that it was at an exposition, it was a deal that they were making with Saudi Arabia regarding oil in the Middle East, and that Israel wasn't included, and that Netanyahu was basically telling Trump to not make the deal with Saudi Arabia, and I guess that pissed off Trump, and that he had cut all ties from Israel after, I guess, pissing him off. If that makes sense.
Are you gaming right now, bro?
Possibly.
All right, I'm gonna look for opposition, bro. I'll keep looking into this, but I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Thank you for having me on.
No problem.
You guys couldn't get along for one tour, and you expect us to believe you can unite America. That's pathetic. Pathetic.
Is that all you got?
She said black women, and that's a microaggression.
Listen, I really don't have an opinion on the live where she was speaking to that panel of people. I feel like that's for people of color to be able to have opinions on. I can't really say one or the other, but what I will say is we have other evidence pointing towards the fact that she is definitely very racist. I gotta close TikTok, my computer app, real quick. I'll be right back. Where'd he go? I gotta close TikTok real quick. One sec, guys. All right, we're back. We're back. We're back. We're back. We're back. All right, we're good. We're good. Yellow.
Your moderators are kicking me, rejecting my request, just letting you know because they're angry.
Honestly, I am tired of the drama that's been drawn out. It's almost been a month now. It's almost been a month. And I feel like these small things, the fact that we try to call each other out on them, I think it speaks volumes versus what you guys do is like embrace people who make racist remarks. You vote people into office who do it.
Then don't ask for opposition, because there are people with different worldviews. When you guys just flippantly call anything racist that you disagree with, like criticizing the Black Lives Matter organization is racist for not supporting that slogan, then you dilute the terms that you guys are using. They
Listen,
don't any longer carry weight.
I think the movement is fine, but again, the organization is very problematic. And for us to have nuance, I think is better than for us to just have blanket exception of all of these ideas and ideologies and defend them to the death.
Just saying, man, it's a reflection of your guys' side. One tour. You couldn't even get along for one tour.
Dog, you guys still have one of the most problematic presidents in world history. He's
Problematic to who?
To everyone. He's the most
So
controversial.
then why did he get voted
He's
into
the most controversial
office?
person to walk the earth. Okay?
So why did most of America
For the
disagree
same
with
reason
you?
any authoritarian dictator gets voted in.
He's an authoritarian dictator?
Sure, yeah.
So how is he a dictator again?
It's consolidating power.
You know that dictators want more government power, not less.
Yeah,
They
and
want
that's
to
what he's doing.
invest more into. Oh, by getting less power, by kicking people out of the government?
That's not cutting.
How does
cutting
that make any
branches.
sense?
Yeah, so cutting people out of the federal government who would hold him accountable, or for calling certain judges activists, calling for them to be impeached, talking about having Stephen Miller
That's
talk
what you
about
guys did to Trump.
having Stephen Miller talk about suspending habeas corpus to maybe possibly arrest members of Congress who don't follow the
You
law.
guys wanted to arrest Trump. You guys can't
were
have
gonna-
it both
we,
ways.
We were giving him due process, didn't we? We were giving him due
And-
process.
And these people are getting arrested and getting due process as well, are they
No,
not?
Trump is trying to get
No.
you guys. He's trying to convince you guys that certain people don't need due process, right?
No, he's not.
Yes.
Besides
What's habeas
illegal
corpus?
immigrants.
What's habeas corpus?
Illegal
again?
immigrants?
What's habeas corpus again?
Are we speaking about illegal immigrants?
No, we're talking about habeas corpus.
So are you speaking about citizens that he doesn't want to have allowed due process?
Yes.
Who?
Habeas corpus. Do you know what I'm talking about when I say habeas
Yeah,
corpus?
this is something that last took action in like World War II.
So you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I get you guys are floating out this idea that he's doing
That
this.
Stephen Miller is saying this, his chief of staff.
Is it Trump?
Stephen Miller, the guy who pretty much writes what Trump does. He decides
Okay.
what Trump does in every
So
instance.
so spell this out exactly. You're saying that Trump wants to arrest people without due process.
That's what habeas corpus is.
Explain what that is. Go into
You can
further
literally
detail.
just arrest somebody,
Uh-huh.
put them in jail. They never see a judge. They never have a court date. They never have to be released. That's it.
And who is he doing that to?
That's who he's floating the idea of doing things.
Who is
That-
he doing it to? Who is he threatening to do that to?
So you have to actually do it to be a bad person. You don't have to float the idea and put messaging out to people like you. This is what he does. He puts messaging out. He has Stephen Miller say, hey, we're thinking of doing this. And he gets the public's reaction. And we get people like you to come out and justify it to the masses, come out and say, well, it's not that bad. He isn't actually doing it yet.
You
And
guys
then
tried to arrest
you
him for
gaslight us.
years.
Yeah,
You
with due
gaslight.
process.
You guys tried to arrest this man for years. Called him a rapist. Called him all
process.
these things.
Due process.
Due process, my ass. You guys don't care for due process. You guys tried to assassinate him.
You guys did. That wasn't us.
We did. We see. That's the gaslighting right there.
Wait, was it a Republican or a Democrat?
I think the guy was registered Republican, but if you look at his voter history, it wasn't always.
No one has voting history.
Oh yeah, so a registered Republican wanted to assassinate the Republican lead candidate. That makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
Oh no, that's definitely not a false flag. How does that make any sense? Why would a Republican want to assassinate the lead candidate?
Why would a Republican ever have his own opinions and have disagreements with somebody in their own party?
You think trying to
They're
assassinate
sycophants. Is
someone
that what you're saying?
having a difference of opinion?
They're zealots. You see, all
No,
of you
that's
people
the
on your
way
side are just
you
zealots.
guys
They just
act.
all fall in line.
No, but that's the way you guys act. That's the behavior of the left.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're not really selling this to me that he wasn't a Republican. Both of them, both Republicans, staunch.
Oh, they were staunch Republicans.
Part of the rifle
So
club.
why did he donate so much to the Biden campaign and to the DNC?
$15?
Why did he donate any if he's a Republican? A staunch Republican shouldn't be donating any
It was
money.
it
to
was
the
not
left.
the same person. It was a 59-year-old. It turns out it wasn't actually him.
The young guy that you're talking that tried to assassinate Trump
Yes, it was a different
donated money to.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, no, yes, it was.
It turned out to be a different person. He was 59 years old. It wasn't him.
No, okay, it wasn't him.
Yes.
No, based off what? Trust me, bro.
No, based off of news reports. I'll pull it up.
Okay, news reports. What? CNN?
Okay, we've got your word versus investigative journalists. Let's see.
No, we've had millions of people that have already seen this happen, and now you guys are trying to twist the truth of history.
Dude, I know it's really hard that you. It really sucks that you don't really get to use this as ammo against us, but it wasn't us. It was y'all.
We do. That's why he's in office. That's why people don't believe you guys anymore.
Because
Totally
you guys
lost it.
tried to assassinate your own leader, and that therefore
You guys
we are not
assassinated
trustworthy.
your own tour. You guys can't even get a tour together.
Listen, I
You expect
disagree.
us to believe you can unite America, and you guys can't even get along because a woman said black women.
Okay, I want you to
Dude.
stop using this as if we're the divisive people. I
You
can just point
are.
to I can point you towards any Truth Social post Trump has ever made. Let's go to Easter. Let's go to Easter Truth Social post from Trump. Let's go to any holiday. Let's see what Trump has to say to all Americans. Does he say nice things about both sides, or does he call us radical leftists? Does he call us all sorts of names and make us look
Yeah.
demonized?
The voters he never talks down on. He talks down on the candidates. The
Give me a
crazy
break.
left candidates.
Give me a break.
No, he does.
No.
He doesn't talk down on. He doesn't call half of America.
False.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't go after the voters.
You're. This is a stretch. This is you moving the goalpost.
He
I
talks
promise
down
you-
on Nancy Pelosi. He talks down on left-wing radical
No.
lunatics like
To
Alexander
the radical
Ocasio-Cortez.
leftists, they want women and men and women's sports. They want like he
They
he
do.
puts
No, do you-
words in our mouths.
Do you not? Does the left not want
This
males
is-
playing
this
in
is-
women's sports?
I think obviously that you and I have a different idea.
Okay,
of
so you
how we
do.
could word this. All 10 of
You
them.
believe that males can play in women's sports?
No, I believe that people who are transgender should be able to participate in whatever
Okay.
whatever side that they identify
So a
with.
male,
Yes.
a male, biological male, you think it should be possible if they identify as a woman and get whatever surgeries to play in women's sports?
It's not an issue. Yes, you guys talk about it
Okay,
in a way
so
that
so
is-
he's not lying. So he's right.
You guys talk about this in a way that is very harmful and politicized when we literally just want to give the 10 people trying
What's
to do this
harmful?
a normal life.
What's harmful? What's harmful that we're
You
putting
guys
out?
talking about them as if they're animals.
Oh, so
as
now
if
you're
they're
generalizing us
subhuman.
as you guys.
Yes,
Okay.
you. Yeah, especially you.
Okay, so talk to me.
Yeah, okay, then you.
I
do
don't
this.
want
you
a
talk about them
male-
as subhuman. Yes.
I don't. No, subhuman. No, I
Yes.
just think I talk to them about them the same way I would someone that's anorexic. I'm not gonna affirm
You
someone
call,
that they're.
so you think they have what, like a mental disorder?
Yes, just like anorexic.
Okay, that's no.
Yeah.
That is a horrible way to put it. Yes, that is problematic. The way you say that, yes, that is
You know,
problematic.
okay, so let me ask you this. If affirming them and letting them get all these surgeries and treatments, they still have an extremely high suicide rate,
But it's lower than before GAF, right?
why would they be there at all?
So the problem, the symptom we're trying to treat is suicidality, and it is effectively reduced when we give them gender affirming care. Why do you have a problem with that?
In the can you show me a long-term study? 'Cause
How
there's
long,
none
what's
that
long
show
term
that.
to you?
Post 10 years.
Further than 10 years, because we literally have a
course.
10-year study.
Yeah, you do. Swedish study, which they hate when people like me bring it up. But we don't have to get into the nitty gritty of this because this is probably going to put the live at risk because you can't talk about this community without the mass reporting because it's pathetic.
Yeah, because you're hateful.
What the have I said that's
Why
hateful?
are you trying to intervene in what doctors and scientists
No,
believe is
I
the
think
best
if you're-
practice?
if you're
Why are
over the
you
age
trying
of
to do
8,
that?
I'm not. If you're over the age of 18, do whatever you want to your body. Live however you want, but don't force
Okay.
us to affirm your delusion. Don't. If you want to
There you
live
go.
in
That's
society,
your
however,
caveat. It's gross.
what's the cat? Oh, so
To
I have
affirm
to
your
change my.
delusion?
Listen,
This is all a
you can
social
believe.
thing.
So we have access to the same evidence, right? I don't look at the evidence and believe it. I don't. So why would I have to lie? Honestly, I'm not going to point my finger and say you can't live that way. You can live that way, but don't force me
Okay.
to have to affirm your identity.
Okay, well, don't force me to have to affirm your ideologies with the Christian thing.
We don't. We don't.
Of course you do. You guys literally have a president in office that made
And don't
a
pivot,
federal
though.
branch.
Don't
made a federal
pivot, don't
branch
pivot,
to make
don't
us
pivot.
enforce this, right?
Why is what I'm saying harmful and hateful if I'm saying they can live however they want?
Because
if you're
you're
over
calling
18
it a mental disorder. You're calling these people less than.
No, I'm not saying they're less than. I'm saying that I believe it's delusional based off the evidence.
Okay,
and
that's
I'm not
less
going
than.
to.
Delusional? That's
no,
that's horrible.
I
It's
don't
hurtful.
think people, for example, that have Down syndrome are less than.
Oh my god.
I don't think
Okay.
people that have
Okay.
schizophrenia are less
Okay.
than.
Okay. All right, but these are different things, right? It's a
I
condition,
don't think
not a
people with a
disorder.
mental no, I don't
It's a
believe that
condition,
someone
not a
yeah.
disorder.
Okay, and I don't believe people with this mental condition are less than. I don't.
You just said that
So
they're
why are you putting
delusional.
words in my mouth?
You said that they're
Yes,
delusional.
I do believe that just like if you said, "Hey, I'm a black man," I would say you're not. That's delusional. But if you want to believe you are,
Okay, but
then
those are
so be it.
phenotypical things, not psychosocial.
You can tell someone's sex by phenotypical traits.
Yeah, but but they are
Same
immutable,
thing.
right? They're mutable
Same.
traits. There are plenty of mutable traits when it has to do. And you're talking about sex, not gender.
When you say immutable traits, can you be clear what you mean?
Things that you can't hide.
You can definitely hide an Adam's apple if you get a surgery.
Exactly. Let me ask you this.
You can
let me see
you
if you're
can
thinking. Let me
wait
see if
wait
you're
you
thinking
can
is
bleach your
consistent.
skin and
What-
hide that
let me
you're
see,
dark
let me see.
skin.
Would you be considered delusional if in high school you had big boobs, you had big breasts, that of like a woman? Would you feel a certain way about that?
Yeah, because I'm not a woman.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah,
Would
because
you,
I'm a
would you-
male.
Would you want to get that taken care of with like a surgery or something?
Perhaps because I'm a male.
Would you
And
know
a
that
male
that's
could never be
gender?
a
Would you know
woman.
that that's gender affirming care? Is there anything that you can point to that means that this is like actually necessary in the body of science, other than saying that this is gender dysphoria? Can you tell me what the actual issue is there?
So you're saying if a male that has, that condition and wants to get rid of it because he's a male is
Uh-huh.
gender affirming care.
Yeah.
Sure, but it's not trying to identify as a gender he's
Why,
not. though.
wait, but wait,
That's
you have big
extremely
boobs.
different.
That's a woman thing. Why are you so confused? You're a woman if that's what you're born with.
Because we know that is not a woman. That's why he doesn't want to
Wait.
appear as a woman.
Wait, but you have big boobs. Why are you trying to be something you're not?
Listen, a woman's an adult human female, to be clear. So, of course, a male is not going to want to present as something he's not.
Okay, so you're worried about presenting a certain way, which is a social issue, right? To
Yeah,
acknowledge that this is a
presentation-
social thing, not a delusion.
Well, the way I perceive people, you could argue is social, sure, but it
That's
doesn't
like a
change the fact
psychosocial
if
thing?
they're. Hold on, it doesn't change the fact if they're a male or a female.
Are you trying to? Are you figuring out what I'm doing here? Are you seeing the
Yeah,
dots
you're
connect?
trying to you're trying to differentiate and say you see gender as a social thing,
It is.
and sex is a biological thing, but you would also argue that sex is also a social thing,
No, sex is
which
not
is
a
what the
social
left
thing.
does.
So
Oh,
sex
it's
is
not.
bimodal.
So
though.
how many sexes are there?
It's bimodal. There's not
How
just
many
two.
s-
There
how
are
many se-
there's a large variation of sex.
of sexes? Okay, so it's a social thing.
Bimodal thing. No, that doesn't mean it's.
So you're
social.
saying, so are there biological indicators to definitively tell someone's sex?
There's
What-
gray areas. So like I said, bimodal means hi Kiki. Bimodal would mean that there's largely two extremes, but there's a million variances in the middle, right?
Okay, so let me ask you this. Can a doctor get the sex of a baby wrong?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, meaning there must be some objective way to measure this baby's sex. So how do you measure the baby's sex?
Karyotyping.
Karyotyping?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
Meaning what?
Genetic makeup.
The genetic makeup of the baby. So you are saying there's an objective way to measure the sex of a baby.
Yes. Can you confirm
So what
whether
are the
intersex-
possible sexes of the baby?
Hold
Male
on,
or
before you
female?
interrupt me,
Right.
your sentence should not interrupt mine. What is your genetic makeup? Are you XY, XX, XXY?
I'm the normal one of a
would you-
male.
Oh, what would be normal?
Whatever's the majority. That's normal. Scientifically, that's definitionally normal.
You are so wrong.
Then
You're
what-
completely
that's how you
denying
define
the
normal.
existence of intersex people.
I'm denying their existence?
Yes.
Did I say intersex people don't exist?
You're saying
You're
they're
basically
abnormal.
saying that you're normal and there's some
Yeah,
sort
that's
of
definitionally it is definitionally it's abnormal. Don't
No,
confuse that
it's-
with being wrong.
No,
but
they
it's a
want-
part of the
definition-
human condition. How is
that
that
doesn't make
normal?
it normal.
It's called typical.
It's not normal.
Typical, not normal. Typical. That's the word. we'll
Typical
use.
is one of the descriptors of normal.
Okay, typical is going to be the words we use. Normal has nuances of othering. Okay.
Literally, definition of normal is usual, typical, or expected. That's what normal means.
Okay, and we have all sorts of words that are synonymous, but also have like nuances and underlying meanings. So we're
Okay,
gonna
would
use
you prefer
typically.
that I say typical instead of normal?
Please.
Okay, then I'll say typical, even though they're synonymous.
Thank you.
Sure. Then it is atypical to be that. Absolutely. That doesn't mean I deny their existence. And also, the trans community are not all intersex, so why are you using the intersex community to affirm your identity?
Because it's a basis of biological existence.
It's a basis of biological existence?
Yes.
That sounds like
Intersex
word
people,
salad to me.
there is XY, there's XX, and there's varying differentiations in between.
Okay. But 99% of the time, you can objectively measure male or female, right?
Can
Yes or no?
what is your karyotype? What is your
Why can't you
genetic
just,
makeup?
that's a yes or no.
It's not clear as day just by looking at somebody.
No? So how do you know the sex of your pet?
I can get them karyotyped.
You get your pet karyotype to know
I
the...
can. There's genetic makeups for getting my pet, finding out exactly.
So how do you know if a dog is a boy or a girl? You get it karyotyped first?
We don't call dogs boys or girls. We call them male or female.
Yeah, do
Oh,
dogs?
you've never heard someone say good boy, good girl to their dog?
Yeah, but you've never seen it. Have you seen a man dog or a woman dog?
Okay, what? How do you know if your dog's a male or a female?
Do dogs have a
Hey Pickles, how do you know if your dog's a male or a female? You
You
have a
usually
dog.
look at their genitalia, but when
Oh,
we
okay,
talk
there we
about
go.
humans, there's much more nuance, and there's a lot of
Wait, I
variances
thought
that
sex
need
was
to be
biological.
sex. Yes, sex is yes.
But yeah, so no, it's very binary.
It's bimodal. It doesn't.
No, it's
those things are not mutually exclusive.
It's bimodal.
Have you? I know
How-
you've heard
how
this
many-
a million times.
So how many humans are bimodal in their sex?
Every human is bimodal, and it falls in the bimodal spectrum.
You see, there we go. So you think it's a social thing too. So don't pretend like it's just
It's not
gender
social.
that you're trying to make a
Bimodal
social
does not
thing.
mean social, dude. Sexes are bimodal, and that does not mutually exclusive with them being something you could karyotype or see with science.
Bimodal.
You want me to Google
You know why we
bimodal for
refer
you?
to you know why when we refer to a dog as a bitch, it's to show the sex and it's to show the species of the animal. Same thing with woman, sex and the sex and the species. It's a human and it's a female. That's what woman means.
Woman. I'm sorry, Kiki. Are you still here? Woman
I am still here.
is gender is a social ideology. That's why we don't have women giraffes. That's why we don't have men giraffes and dogs. That's why.
Okay, it's a social category. Sure. Can you define woman then?
An adult human female, and you're going to ask me what a female is. It's somebody. I'm sorry. A woman is somebody who typically. A woman is somebody who has.
Yeah, get it right before they cancel.
I do, because this is a very nuanced topic. This is something we socially make up, and we don't literally go around saying this is exactly what a woman is all day. But somebody who
You do.
who no, we don't. This is something that somebody who identifies with things typically associated with with the adult female, adult human female.
So a drag queen is a woman. Then.
No,
They're
it's
typically associating
No,
with the
they don't
characteristics
identify.
of a female.
They don't identify as a woman.
So it's an identity. So why are you
Yes.
saying the typically associated with the characteristics when really it's whoever identifies as a female?
it's an adult human that identifies as a.
As what? Identifies as what? Don't mute your mic.
I said as a woman. I'm sorry that my dog is snoring. I muted my mic so that you don't have to hear that.
But we're trying to define the term woman. So don't use it within the definition. You know you're being circular.
Adult human female. Somebody who typically identifies with
An adult
characteristics-
human female.
Somebody who identifies with characteristics typically associated with adult human female.
So it's an identity. I don't know why you're saying
Yes.
all the extra stuff.
That's why it's a gender. It's a gender identity. That's why it's a social construct.
So if you don't represent yourself having the characteristics of a female, but you simply identify that, yeah, I'm a woman, isn't that enough?
I keep getting super chats. Thank you so much from Dan. I can't read these super chats for some reason. I'll read them in a little bit. Nosing it down. I'm also gonna bring up Kiki if
Yeah, bring up more call of friends. And then block me
I
after this, like all the liberals do, because none of you can.
hey,
I respect that you
I've never
at
blocked
least
you.
brought me up.
I've
I'm
never
not a
blocked you.
liberal.
I am blocked. I think one of your mods blocked me on a separate account, but that's fine. Dean
Listen,
Parker, they've all got me blocked.
I
No,
did
none
already
of,
get
no
paid.
one
I
will
already
really
got paid
debate
for
me
you
on
to get
this.
kicked, but I'm keeping you up because I want this to be resolved. Although I know you've had this conversation with just about every left-leaning creator on this app, I think that you just have a hard time learning things outside of your religion.
It's not. It's first of all, just because I don't agree, you don't have to be patronizing. I'm not going to tell you I'm trying to learn you something. I disagree with your worldview. We have access to the same evidence, and I don't believe it. I'm not convinced.
Okay, I don't think this is something that you need to be convinced of.
Of course it is.
It's
You're
very
convinced of it.
obvious. It's very obvious that there's science and social sciences that prove that this is a thing, that this is a social thing.
It's not
And
a
there's a
proof.
million ways that I can ask you and have you acknowledge these things, such as, do you ever call a female giraffe a woman giraffe? And you'll say no, and I'll ask you why, and you won't know how to answer.
Because woman denotes the sex and the species human. That's why I wouldn't call it a woman giraffe.
Okay, then why do we differentiate people of human and the other people, the other things in the animal kingdom? Why do we differentiate
Because
those?
they're not humans. Different species. That's pretty self-evident.
It's because we're a social species. That's what I would say.
No, it's because we're humans and they're not. They're social species too. Chimpanzees are extremely social. Those are our second closest primates, or first closest primates, right?
So just saying that they're different species, now we have different names for their sexes.
No, you're saying the differentiator between us and the rest of the species on the earth is that we're social and they're not? There's many other social species. That's not the only differentiator.
Other primates are social species.
It's because
as well.
we humans are made in God's image, and that's what you
Can you
refuse
stop
to
interrupting
acknowledge.
me?
There you go. All right.
We other primates are social species. Can you tell me how do they refer to themselves as a gender?
How do they refer to themselves as a gender?
Yeah.
No,
How do they?
They don't. They don't.
In what linguistics do they refer to themselves as a gender?
I don't know. I don't speak dolphin.
Well, dolphins aren't primates, but I mean, yeah, we can use that too.
Or whatever. I don't speak ape.
Oh, so you're saying that of their social construct, there might be language that
You think they have a social
don't understand?
construct? They act instinctual based off what's evident. They're a male, they're a female, and they have their roles as such. Can you imagine if a feminist birds happen and they would stop building nests? They just do what they do. Nature just does what it does. It's instinctual. Humans are the only ones doing this crazy crap.
Because we're much more social than other species. We are much more developed.
So you're telling me that two male birds could not build a nest?
What would they be building a nest for?
Because it's still coupling. They still do coupling within the penguin community, and that they will adopt a baby penguin to raise it as their own that has been abandoned.
You're talking about birds building a nest, but whatever.
Yeah, penguins build nests.
Yeah, you're right. There are penguins that do weird stuff. There's things in nature that do weird stuff. There's grape found in nature.
So you're telling me that it's not an immutable fact that
We got banned. We got banned YouTube. It's a 7-day. Oh, it's just a 3-day. I bet we'll get appealed. We got it appealed. Da, 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 da. Let's see if we got it appealed, guys.
All the liberals are coming out saying that they're going to support